It's kind of hard to tell, but there's a little opening right there. So this one is the hole. All right. Well, I'm going to go on because my tablet isn't happy yet. Yeah, this one is pointing to the line here, which would be what? Okay. I'm kind of questioning what the other two are pointing to. I don't know about you, but so this one you think is pointing to that?
Yeah.
So that would be the vertical asymptote, and then this guy's pointing to the actual function. Okay. So how do you find out if something has a hole? Okay. How about if we just put an example in? Would that be easier than writing an explanation?
Yeah.
Okay, so what could it look like if I knew it had a hole? Okay. That's a very basic one. This it would actually just be the line y equals x minus 3, except it would have a hole at 2. And how would I find the y value of the hole? It would have a hole at -2. Just kidding, right? And then after I canceled, I can plug the -2 back in, and the hole is actually at -2, -5. All right, write one that has a vertical asymptote. How do you know it has a vertical asymptote? Okay, so there could be an x and an x minus 3 and a 2x plus 5. This would have vertical asymptotes where? X equals 0 and x equals 3. They must be equations because they're a line, right? All the points on the line. They're not just a dot or something. It's a whole line. All right. This I kind of want an explanation. How do you know when there's a horizontal asymptote? What do you look at? Okay, the degree of the numerator and the degree of the denominator, right? If the degree of the numerator is less than the denominator, then what? Okay, bottom heavy. And when it's bottom heavy, the horizontal asymptote is at y equals 0. Okay, if the degree is equal, or even Steven, like the other one said, it approaches y equals over leading coefficient. And if it's bottom heavy, top heavy, yeah, just kidding, top heavy, thank you. Then we have to do what? As of Precalc, now we have to divide, and we get to ignore the remainder, right? It will have no horizontal asymptote, but it could have a slant asymptote, or it could have an end behavior asymptote like a parabola or something. Okay, so this also is oblique or slant is the same thing. All right, those were just a quick review. So we have some options today. It's kind of a work day. I could go back and finish the notes on worksheet 9. There was a couple examples I don't think I did. I could just do some of the book work with you as examples. I could do some of the problems off worksheet 10 as examples. You got some questions already on worksheet 10, Hannah? I got them right here. Which one do you want me to do? There is, what's the factored form of number 1, guys? Yes, do not kill any kittens. Do not cancel anything. Okay, if you wanted to write the denominator as factors because it made you feel better, you could have x plus 0, x minus 0 or something. But there is a vertical asymptote. What will make the denominator 0? Okay. Just to humor me, what are the domain restrictions? X cannot be 0. Make sure you write it like that on the quiz, which is tomorrow, by the way. There's a quiz tomorrow that you get to use that yellow reference sheet for. It's no graphing calculator, and I'm going to go over exactly what's on it by the end of the hour. It's just one thing, one section, no review, just a little baby quiz. The end of the hour tomorrow. Okay. Look at your yellow reference sheet so you're familiar with it. How do you find the x-intercepts or zeros? Other way around. X-intercepts mean the whole function needs to equal 0. So we need to set the top equal to 0. So we'll get what? Yep. Okay. And the y-intercept is when we put in a 0. Go back to the original one. What happens? Can we put in a 0? We get -4 over 0, which is none, because it already has an asymptote there, yes? Okay. What else? End behavior or horizontal anything? Look at the original one up here. It was degree what? Degree 2 over degree 2. So we need leading coefficient over leading coefficient, which is 1. Is that how I write it? What do I write? Y equals 1. All right, so that's this guy right here. What did we learn yesterday about horizontal asymptote? The graph can possibly cross it. It's just going to hug it on the far ends. Okay. I don't think we have anything else to find, do we? All right, so we know that it crosses the x-axis at -2 and at +2. What would we do next, probably? Yeah, we can just graph it. You don't have to graph anything on tomorrow's quiz, okay? Are there just 2 loops down here? Like an upside down volcano graph? Did anybody, Flirta still looking for us? Like, okay, I didn't do a good job, but I'm really not going to grade for accuracy on these, especially on your homework. All right, somebody pick another one. Okay, number 6. If I factor the top, what do I get? Okay. If you don't like how the bottom is written, what could you do? Can you just rewrite it as x squared minus 2x plus 3? Okay, it's a negative, so if you didn't want to deal with that negative, you'd have to like take out the negative, right? If I took out a -1, it would be x squared plus 2x minus 3, which would factor how? Very good. X plus 3 and x minus 1. If you FOIL that back together, you get x squared plus 2x minus 3, which if you distribute the negative through, will be negative x squared minus 2x plus 3. All right, what do you notice? There's a hole in our bucket. Where's the hole? Okay, now, please, if it asks for domain, you have to do domain restrictions before you cancel anything. What can x not equal? What about this negative 1 out here? There's no x out there. Negative 1 never equals 0. We're good. So there are 2 domain restrictions. Then there's a hole and a vertical asymptote. Where's the vertical asymptote? Oh, you know what? No, we don't have to do anything with the negative 1 because the negative 1 could be on top or bottom. But if I cancel this, there's still one on the top. Yes, there is still a hole though. Oh, I'm confusing myself now. Because it can't, if I put in a negative 3, I get 9. 3 plus 6 is 9, minus 9 is 0. It can't be, so there is a hole at negative 3. Okay. I think it's just at negative 3, 0, though. No. Is there a hole? Just go trace negative 3. Does it show up as undefined? Okay. So we definitely have a vertical asymptote at x equals 1. And we have a horizontal asymptote where? Go back to the original. We can throw all this out. It's even Steven. Leading coefficient over leading coefficient would be? It has to be negative 1, yep. I always go back to the original. Okay, does it actually cross the x-axis anywhere? That's my thing. I don't think it does. Because look what happens. If I cancel this, I end up with x plus 3 over a negative somewhere and an x minus 1. If I put a negative 3 back in, I get 0, right? So I'm thinking the hole is here, so it doesn't. What does it look like? Is it doing that? So does it cross the y? Guys, how do we find the y-intercept? Yeah, put in a 0 for x. Again, if you go back to the original one and plug in a 0, you end up with what? 9 on the top and 3 on the bottom. So 0, 3 is the y-intercept. All right, so tell me if I'm wrong, Berta, but I'm thinking it's doing this, and it just has a hole there. And then there's another loop over here, right? Can you type 2 for me? Just do trace 2. Okay, so it's something like that. That's trickier than probably I would have put on a test or quiz, even for a graphing question, because the fact that the same factor stays on the top, that's icky. What else? Can I do maybe 9 just because it's what? Top heavy? Okay, what can we take out of the top actually? So then we have x squared minus x minus 6, which would factor how? Okay, so does this have a hole? No hole. Okay, well, it says factored form. Yeah, I wrote it over here, not rewriting it. X-intercept. What'll make the top 0? So 3, 0, and negative 2, 0. 3, 0. Oh, no, that's not 3, 0, Hofbauer. Just kidding. Negative 2, 0, and positive 3, 0. Y-intercept. Back to the original one is the easiest. Put in a 0 for x, and you get negative 12 over 1. Yep, that's not going to be on my graph. Okay, vertical asymptotes. Does it have any? Guys, what's the yellow sheet say? Please be using it because you get to use it tomorrow. How do you find a vertical asymptote? Set the denominator equal to 0, right? So it has 1 at x equals negative 1. Okay. Now what about the end behavior? This one is top heavy. So the rule is we have to divide. Can we do synthetic division on this question? Okay, what goes in the box? And across the top? I'm going to actually, I have to use the original polynomial. Now what? Do we care about this last term? So what does this mean? There is a slant asymptote at y equals 2x minus 4. I'm not on a test or quiz going to ask this. It'll probably just say like end behavior asymptote, which means whatever it is, whether it's slant, horizontal, whatever. Not going to ask separately. All right, so at negative 4, up 2 and over 1, up 2 and over 1, up 2 and over 1 would be the slant asymptote. Okay. Now, you do remember that there should be how many pieces to this graph then? 1 vertical means there's something on either side of that, and then there's a slant asymptote. So at least 2. Okay. At least 2. Anybody type it in? When you type it in, I always type in the original one, guys. Do you want me to do one? Parenthesis 2x squared minus 2x minus 12. Is that what it said? Anybody helping me? Divided by x plus 1. Okay, I don't know what my window's set at right now. Okay, that's a nice picture, but it's not very realistic to what my window is at the moment, my graph paper. Does that seem okay? It's crossing down at negative 12, remember? So if we put negative 12 down there somewhere, it's doing, woo! Yeah, not quite that fast, but Okay, that is the worst graph ever. Doesn't even pass a vertical line test. Whew. If I did 6, where is it supposed to be at 6? Up at 6. More up here. Anyway, good enough. Or bad enough in my case. Would you like to do some of the book questions together since no one ever does the book work? I know some of you do. There is not a homework check tomorrow, but I am going to collect homework on Friday. Yes. You still can. Okay. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 questions out of the book assigned. This says find the domain and asymptotes. You want to do these together or not? Anybody who's got paper want to help me factor the top quick? Does it even factor? Okay. Genius Hoffbauer's over here trying hard. Not working. The bottom factors though, right? Vertical domain. Okay, so let's start with domain. What are the restrictions on the domain? X cannot equal 0 or -2. So it has vertical asymptote. Since the top didn't factor, these neither one cancel or have a hole. Okay. And horizontal asymptote. Look back to the original one. What are the leading coefficients? So the horizontal asymptote is at y equals 2. Look at your card, guys. Does it say clearly that vertical asymptotes should be x equals and horizontal asymptote should be y equals? Okay. Don't just give me a number. All right, so these are the things that it asks for right in my magical little circle there. Oh, this one could be easier, it could be hard. It's already factored for us. So what can you tell me? Domain? Asymptotes? Vertical first? The fact that they're squared, guys, would have to do with what's happening on either side. The tails on either side will go the same direction because it's a squared asymptote. Okay, but it still is a vertical asymptote. Instead of doing this on either side, it's going to go either this way or they're both going to go this way. What? It could be, yes. Yep, this is degree 4 on the bottom. So it has 2 vertical asymptotes. Yeah, I don't know. But that's all that squared does. Okay, what about degree? It's not all foiled out for us, but if it was, what would we have on the top? We'd have just an x squared, right? So we can ignore this. If we ignore this and this, what would we have in the denominator? It's bottom heavy, so it approaches y equals 0. We okay? Doesn't say to sketch these. This is the kind that you have to be, I don't know that there's one like that, but you have to be able to do stuff like this tomorrow because there's no graphing. So you don't need a graphing calculator, okay? You just need the yellow card to follow the rules. 9 is assigned. This one says determine asymptotes and intercepts, graph, and state its domain. Anybody want to start with something? Let's do the domain and the asymptotes. Yep. Anybody? You writing this down? So there are 2 vertical asymptotes because there's no holes, right? We always got to look for holes before vertical asymptotes. There aren't any, so -4 and x equals 5 are both vertical asymptotes. Horizontal, if I foiled that mess together, I'd have what? X squared over x squared, so it has a horizontal asymptote at, okay? Intercepts. So the x-intercepts top equal to 0, yep. And y-intercept, plug in a 0. You plugged in a 0, you'd have a 2 times a -3 over a 4 times a -5. -20 would be, okay, now it says graph. -4, +5, -2, +3, 3/10. I'm thinking it's gonna do, oh, okay, maybe it's doing a parabola thing in the middle. Before I draw any more, let's actually type it in. Okay, to type this one in, I need lots of parentheses, right? Unless I want to foil the top together, which I don't really. Was it x plus 2 before I covered it up? Ooh, what did I do? X plus 2, close, open, x -3, close, close, divided by open, open, x plus 4, u, x -5. Okay. Okay, yeah. I was thinking maybe it looped up here, but no. Okay. So that's a pretty easy one to graph, yes? That picture seems okay. So what I started to do isn't bad. It just crosses. Whoa, I don't know, it got blue, sorry. And if you had nice graph paper, you could find a couple ordered pairs somewhere, but I'm good. How am I doing on time? Okay, got 14 is another graph. This one might have a hole. This one, oh, that's top heavy. You want me to do 24 next? Okay. This is not super complicated as far as domain. What's the domain restriction? Okay. And it has a vertical asymptote at -3. Anything gonna make it 0 on the top? Yeah, it goes through 0, 0, right? So that's the x and y intercept. Nothing else will make the top 0, and plugging in a 0 won't give us anything different. So how do we find the end behavior, what it's doing out at the far left and the far right? We have to literally divide. Can we use synthetic? Yes. We're going to have a -3 and across the top. Okay, I got to say it out loud to myself. 1x cubed, 0x squared, 0x, and a 0 that's a constant. All right, bring down. Multiply is -3, add is -3, but multiply is 9 sometimes, add is 9, multiply is -27, and we don't care. So, yes. Yes. What is the end behavior looking like? Okay. Which is a parabola that crosses the y up here at 9. Let's just look at the graph. Okay. It didn't have any holes. So all we have left to do is graph. What was it, guys? An x cubed? Thank you. Okay. Now, so I get this. And it's looking like a parabola over there. But there's a vertical asymptote. What does that mean? Okay, it means it can't cross it, but it means something is happening on both sides. Something's going on over here. So what do I need to do to my window? I need to look. If this is supposed to look like a parabola from far away, don't you think there's got to be something up higher, not down? So I'm going to look. I'm not going to change my x. I'm just going to change my y. Try 40. Well, that wasn't helpful. Okay, let's try 100. Okay, so way, way, way up here somewhere, there's a piece doing this. Let me show you this, because I don't think I showed this class this yesterday, okay? If I type in y2, can anybody read me the equation we came up with? X squared minus 3x plus 9? Okay. Look carefully, because it's only going to do this once. Is everybody looking? Okay. Do you see that it looks like that? Now let me zoom out and show you even better. The further out I go, the more the graph simply looks like a parabola. Does that make sense? It's just a parabola, except it. So if we were to put in the end behavior here, it's doing this. It's actually not going through 0. The end behavior one doesn't. But when you zoom out far enough, you can't even tell that. It just looks like a parabola. All right. This is the kind of question I would ask you to find the end behavior quest, but I probably wouldn't bother to ask you to graph it. Okay? So it's pretty hard to graph it very accurately. All right. What else do you want to do? Actually, I need to talk about tomorrow's quiz, but we can do one more. Yes. No, you're getting it tomorrow. Yep. So worksheet 10AB and those questions on page 138 are what you need to be working on for homework. Okay. If we get through what I want to talk about tomorrow's quiz, we could do another couple book problems together probably, okay? But let me finish talking about what's on the quiz. Can you look at 15B real quick? We're going to review for the quiz for like 5 minutes, then I'll stop the recording and then we can do a couple more together if you want, okay? That's my favorite class. All right, this is what's the quiz looks like tomorrow. It says state the domain, state the equation. That's your subtle hint to remember it has to be like x equals or y equals, not just a number, okay? Of the vertical and horizontal asymptotes of the graph, also find any x-intercepts or zeros and y-intercepts and write those as ordered pairs, which I have been doing, okay? The domain you don't have to write as an interval. It's fine. So if this question were on the quiz, what's the first thing you do? Factor, please. What happens to the top? You can take out a 2. How does the bottom factor? Okay. Speedy in the front factored that for us. Is that okay, everybody? Is that FOIL back? Okay. So domain? Everybody would get that right? Okay. Please look at your yellow sheet right now and make sure you understand what it says for domain. Okay? Does it say what would make the denominator equal to 0 or something? Okay. And be sure that you find the domain before you like cancel anything for a whole or anything, okay? All right, what does it say for vertical asymptote? Okay, so in other words, if there's not a whole, we haven't canceled anything, then everything in the denominator is a vertical asymptote. So how many vertical asymptotes? X equals -1/4 and x equals -1. Now, I couldn't graph x equals -1/4 very well on normal graph paper probably, but it doesn't ask us to graph it anyway, so it's perfectly fine for me to ask something icky like that on the quiz tomorrow. What else do you want to find? We got to find all of it, so pick something next. Okay. It is bottom heavy, so what's the rule? And you got to have y equals 0. Okay. Then what? What does it say on the sheet? Okay. It can't make top and bottom 0 because then it's a whole different story. But what's this one have? Okay. How do we write it? Okay. Y-intercept. Okay. Plug in a 0. Go back to the original, in my opinion. You have 2 times 0 minus 6 is -6. 4 times 0 squared plus 5 times 0 plus 1 is 1. So you get... Everybody's okay? So you could do that tomorrow. All right. Find the hole in this graph. And it needs to be an ordered pair. I'll factor fast for you. Oh, just kidding. Thanks. Somebody help me factor because I can't do it. Okay. Where's the hole? Okay, this is the common factor. So it's at x equals -5. But how do you find the ordered pair? Because you can't just write x equals -5. What did I write on the little sheet? I think I gave you a hint. Plug it into the reduced or something, did I say? Okay. And I said to plug it into the reduced rational function. So now we can reduce this as long as we figured out where it is. Now if I plug it back in, I'll have -5 minus 5 over -5 plus 2, which makes it positive 10/3, right? Okay. What's the end behavior on this one? Just for more practice. Equal weight. Everybody's okay that end behavior asymptote is simply another word for, it could be oblique, it could be horizontal, it could be something else like a parabola. Just lumping them all together. All right, there's a question like this. Find the end behavior question. We've done a couple of these. Do you want me to go through this one or not? What would we do? We got to divide because it's top heavy. What do we got to remember? 1x cubed, 0x squared, 1, 6, 6, 36. Really? Did I do something wrong? That's that disgusting. Okay, I'm not even going to bother because this is all going to be remainder. So what's left? Okay, you know what I heard? I heard x squared plus 6x plus 32. You know what I didn't hear? Y equals, okay? It's an equation. Please remember to write it as an equation. I'm not thinking you want me to give you 4 for getting a y equals. And I might not be that cruel, but all right. There is a question like this, guys. There is a question like this. It says, write a rational function. Okay. You don't have this question, so you can take a picture in a second. Write a rational function with a hole at 2. Okay. A vertical asymptote at -3. Bottom. Vertical asymptotes are from the bottom. A horizontal asymptote at y equals 4. It has to be equal weight. Okay. Yep. You could put a 4x out here. You could have put a 4 out here and an x plus 7. It doesn't say anything else, right? This, you could do x minus 1. Yes, you just have to leave it equal weight, whatever you do. So you don't want to do that and this, right? It's not this specific on the quiz. It says, like, write a graph that has 2 vertical asymptotes and no holes, or write a graph that has a hole and no vertical asymptotes. It's not super complicated. I was just trying to help you think about what could be on there, okay? That's it. So you need to be working tonight on work